So I'm going to tell you a little secret today on how to buy your car in cash. And this is something that it took me a long time to figure out, and something that hopefully you can save yourselves a lot of money in and do it a lot quicker than I did, because it probably took me 20 plus years to figure this out. Now, before I start, if this is interesting to you, give me a like or a subscribe. And let's dig into it then. So, why is this kind of important? First of all, well, we have a 2012 Honda Odyssey that's starting to show its age. I think we got it at the end of 11 and beginning of 12. So it is quite old. Great car. But it's just about time to start looking for the next one. And I wanted to point out that cars have gotten, obviously most people know cars have gotten very expensive. The payments have gone up quite a bit. And this is a way for you to buy your next one in cash and save a lot of money at the same time. So if we touch back a little bit, by doing this, you will be a special person, right? Most people today still either pay it through financing, which is, 60% of the people are doing loans to buy the car. Almost 25% of the people are doing leases. Again, everybody's trying to keep the payments super low, and you really only have about 15% that are buying it in cash. So I found this online. Hopefully the data that they had was accurate. It probably is a little bit accurate. Everybody always talks about paying in payments and trying to get that monthly dollar amount low. And I'm going to show you how you can get around that and actually buy, hopefully, your next car, and if not your next one, the one after that in cash. So if we step back a little bit, my first car, I think it was around 1996, so I put that in here. I did a quick search, and the average price of a car back in 1996 was in that $18,000 range. Where are we today? Right here at the very top, we're at almost $49,000 for a new car. And I will say, you could do all these statistics with a used car if that's your choice. I typically buy new and then I keep it forever. Obviously, a great example of that is with this Honda Odyssey 2012. And so again, we're just about ready into the time to buy our next car. And I thought I'd bring up also the loan terms, because again, most people are doing loans on their cars. My first car was that 36 months or 3 years. Today, when you start to look at some of these options that most people are looking at, they're looking at that 72 or 84. I've even heard people going higher than that. So they're paying payments on their car for 6, 7, 8 years. And again, yeah, like I'm kind of pointing out, my first car was 3 years, which was probably the average back in the 90s. I think my next car that we purchased, and again, the reason I'm telling you this is, the first couple of cars we purchased, we were doing the same thing. We were paying payments year after year after year. So again, my first car was for 3 years. My second car, I think we did it for 4 years. And then I believe the last car, or maybe we actually had two that were right around that 5 year time period. Again, I was married, so then we were buying more cars. And when you're thinking about a $500 payment, $600 payment, $700 payment, today people are paying over $1,000 a month in cars. Maybe you could do that depending on your career and everything for one car. But imagine all of a sudden having to go buy two cars. Now you're coming up with $1,600 or something like that in payments a month. So that's why I wanted to do this and kind of get you out of that grime and actually save you money. So let's dive into a few examples here. So I'm kind of show you a little bit. So this is Dinkytown. They have a car loan calculator. I really like, again, these tools. They're great. You can plug in a whole bunch of information, and you can look at the reports. And so I'm going to do a really simple example. You could expand on it. And again, I will leave the link to this down in the description. So I'm going to use the example here of the first car that I purchased. And again, using their tool, you could actually add in fees, and you can add in the sales tax rate. I'm going to do, again, for very simple reasons, I'm going to basically put the total price in, and that's what the loan's going to be. Although I will say I did add in $2,000 in down payment. So that's my default. Maybe you did zero or whatever. So again, use your numbers to do the example. But I'm going to say that my first car, because this is right around the payment that I had for the 36 months. So maybe my Chevy Beretta back then was around $14,000. I'm going to say I put $2,000 down. It was for 36 months. I believe my interest rate was around 6%. I think that's actually a good rate today to use because the interest rates have have gone back up. Of course, some companies are subsidizing it, but maybe depending on your credit, you're going to be worse. So I threw 6% in there, and you can see. So if it was 14,000, you put down $2,000 in as a down payment. This is what your payment would be, and this is the 36 months. If we look at the report here, which I thought would be interesting to show, that remember when I bought it for 14, if that was the case, you're really not buying it for 14 because you're going to pay interest. So luckily, over 3 years, I was only paying maybe a little over $1,100 in interest. Maybe in 3 years you can kind of justify that. But when we start to look at some of these longer loan terms, you really are paying $4,000, $5,000, could even be up to $6,000 just in interest, and that's actually money that could have gone into the car. So when you're looking at a car, and hopefully we'll get into it actually, if you're buying a car for one price and you say, hey, $30,000 for that car is a good value, but then you're paying $5,000 in interest. You didn't buy it for 30. You bought it for 35 when you actually add everything in. So let's actually look at that. So today, what are most people going to do? They're going to buy that car, and again, the average car today is almost $49,000. Maybe you want to put in that number. I'm not a car guy, so I like to use something maybe a little bit more realistic. And maybe somebody's just starting out. But even today, starting out and trying to buy a new car, while there are cars out there, the Kia Forte, there are some in the 20s. But again, the average is 48. So I thought I'd put $35,000 for an all-in car. And again, to get it for 35 and to actually put $2,000 as a down payment, that means the car is actually a lot less because you're going to have to pay taxes, you're going to have to pay tags, you're going to have to pay insurance, or not insurance, but maybe the doc fee, all those things. So probably a $35,000 purchase price or all in. Maybe the car was only like 31, and then you have to add in all of those other things. For a 3-year loan, which again, most people probably couldn't do, maybe some can, you're paying a little over $1,000 a month. And again, most people are payment buyers. Looking at this report, then again, at that 6%, you're going to pay a little over $3,000 in interest. So it wasn't a $35,000 car, it was closer to a $38,000 car. So most people today are probably going up to, and again, I'll use my example. My second car was at a 48 months, $775 a month. Still a lot. Again, what if you had to actually go buy a second car around the same price? Now you're looking at over $1,500 a month. So most people, again, are going to maybe that 60. I don't even think people are doing 5 years nowadays. I think most people are doing 7 or 6 years at least. That's probably the lowest. So 72 months, 6 years. The payment is a little over $500 a month for that 6 years. Now, in that case, the interest is $6,000. So that $35,000 car is now really around $41,000. Again, let's say, so again, this whole video was really more around how to buy the next car in cash. So it's a very easy process, but most people fall down on it. Again, I probably bought at least 3 cars before I did that. And my suggestion to you, right, is pay off your car and then continue to put that money that you would have been paying it off, right? Here in this example, $546 a month. If you were putting that into a savings account, you could actually be able to purchase that car in cash at some point. Again, may not be your current car or something like that, maybe the next one. But if you get ahead of it, which is what we've done, the next car that you purchase will be in cash. So I'm going to go back to here in this example. I'm going to use a 60 months because that would be 5 years. And so maybe you're buying this car for $35,000 for 5 years. And again, a lot of the times this will mostly work. You know, if you want to keep your cars for a long period of time. So if you're keeping them for 10 years, you're buying it once, you're going to be paying 5 years worth of payments on it. Then you have 5 full years of being able to put some money aside to then be able to purchase that next car. So again, if you were paying $35,000 over 5 years, your payments are going to be about, $637 a month. So at the end of the 5 years, and again, in this case, over $5,000 of it was interest. So again, it wasn't a $35,000, it was a $40,000 car. But again, at the end of that 5 years, if you had started to keep saving to buy the next car, and again, let's say you're anticipate buying another car 5 years after that one, and hopefully maybe it will cost around that same price, $35,000. Now it's probably going to be higher, but at least you can get ahead of it. If you were doing $100 a week in 1 year, you'd have $5,000. So if you did that for 5 years at $100 a week, you'd have $28,000. Now, maybe, after paying off your current car, if you did this, you'd have $28,000 that you'd be able to put down on the next car. And again, maybe it wouldn't be the next one, right? You might need to do it over a period of time. But, if you had done 125, there's your $35,000, and you can actually get that in 5 years. So that's what we did, right? So we, I think it was our Buick Rendezvous. So I had my Chevy Beretta. Then I think actually we did buy the Buick Rendezvous, or maybe we bought a different car. I forget at this point. But we paid it off. And instead of doing what most people say, oh, I'm going to keep putting the money aside, we actually did that time. And at that point, I know it wasn't $125. I think we were only saving maybe $90 a week, throwing it into a different bank account when the next car came up. I think we had some money down. I don't know if we completely paid for the next car in cash, but when we bought that one, maybe we had a year's worth of payments, and then we started doing, at one point I was at $100 a week, and cars have gone up in value. Then we went up to $110 a week, and today we do about $150 a week. But again, cars are very expensive. We have 2 different cars in the family, so we're trying to put that money aside. But even at $150 a week for 1 year, I mean, that's almost $8,000. But if you're doing that for 5 years, you can again save up that money and be able to purchase a car in cash. So again, that's what I would do if I were you. And one thing I will say is move that money someplace where it's very hard for you to touch, because the last thing you want to do is be looking at this bank account and being able to draw it out for Christmas gifts or whatever your event is. So what we did was we linked up with Ally or Ally, Ally, I think it is, bank. And they give great online rates. So again, it's 3.3. So you could calculate that even in here as well to show what it is. So that is my recommendation. That's my little secret on how to eventually be able to pay for your next car in cash. So hopefully, again, you found this very interesting. Try it out yourself. What do you do? I'm curious to hear what other people do. And again, like and subscribe, and hopefully you find other videos like this. Thank you.